There are two big reasons I've heard people don't want to try Star Wars Unlimited, a new TCG by Fantasy Flight Games. Well, I decided to give the game a try over the weekend, and I'm going to share with you why I don't think you should let those reasons stop you from giving Star Wars Unlimited a chance. But first, let me tell you why I like Star Wars Unlimited, what I love about it. And first, well, it's Star Wars, right? I love Star Wars, and there are some IPs that just stick with you. They stick with you kind of throughout your life. And you know, there's always going to be a part of me that's that little kid running through the woods with a stick, pretending it's a lightsaber, trying to save the galaxy. I love the gameplay too. I don't just like the IP, I like the gameplay. And I really like how the game starts, where you have a leader and a base in play. And these are fun because you get to pick a leader that you like, and for every game that you have, you're going to have the chance to play your leader out on the board as a unit, and that's cool. It means if you want to play Boba Fett, you always get a chance to play him. If you want to play Luke, if you want to play Darth Vader, they're there. The options, you know, it's kind of like Commander, where you have somebody that you'll be able to use every time you play, but also has an ability that you can use before that character comes into the game as a unit. Now, combined here from your leader and your base, you'll see symbols on the right, which are called aspects, and those aspects help you know what you want to be playing within your deck. Now, this is kind of another cool thing with Star Wars Unlimited. Unlike some other games, you can put any card that you want into your deck. There's no limitations based on character class or the colors of mana you're using or anything. You can put anything you want in there. The only difference is that these are the aspects you have, where if you play with those cards, they're going to have their normal cost to play. Now, if you decide to throw in something, you know, totally wild, like this sympathizer, which has an aspect that you don't have, you can still play it, but it's going to cost 2 more resources. So instead of 3, it would cost 5. But it's cool that you have that option, that you can put anything that you want in there. Second, I really love how resources work in Star Wars Unlimited. Now, it's not totally unique to this game, but in Star Wars Unlimited, any card can be used as a resource. So there's no lands, there's no specific resource only cards. You just have all your regular units, events, equipment, items and stuff, upgrades that you want to play, but then you also use them as resources. So at the beginning of the game, you have your 6 cards, and you'll put 2 of them down as resources. And we're not going to really worry too much here about whether I'm making good or bad decisions, but we're going to throw down 2 cards. Those are your starting resources. So you begin the game with 2 resources. There's no wait for a couple of turns to see if you can get things going or hope that you get things going. You're going to get to play every time. And so the way that it works again is that's the cost for the card. As long as you have the aspects, there's no changes. So if it was my turn on turn 1, I could spend 2 of my resources. We say the word exhaust here in Star Wars Unlimited, and then you play your unit or your character, and they come on the board exhausted as well. So pretty simple. But then for the resources, again, you're going to have a constant flow of resources coming up in the game, because at the end of a whole turn cycle, you draw 2 more cards, and you have the option of putting another resource on the board. And so again, you're never going to run out of resources. Again, we're just going to pick a random card here, throw it down. Now I have 3 resources for the next turn. Everything untaps or readies, and then you are able to continue play. I also like the action structure a lot here in Star Wars Unlimited. Now again, it's not totally unique to card games, but the way that it works here is that each player takes 1 action, and then the other player takes an action. So back and forth. It's that nice, again, back and forth feel, and so nobody's sitting here waiting for a long time thinking, when will I get to play? Or you got to try and strategize out playing 6 cards, you know, in a row, and how you do them in the exact right order. Of course, you want to think about that, but after, let's say we have 3 here, we're going to play a space unit down. After I play it, they're going to do something else, and then there's a whole new game of what you have to think about what to do. So I like that. I like that feel of going back and forth. You won't get bored in Star Wars Unlimited because you haven't been able to do anything for a long time in the game. You will always have actions to take and actions to take soon. Now you'll notice, of course, I put my space unit here on a different side of the board than I did my ground unit, and that's because I like this too. In Star Wars Unlimited, there are two different zones that units are interacting with. One of them is space, one of them is the ground. Now both of these units, they both attack the same base that your opponent has. We'll pick one out here. We'll throw out a random base here. Let's say they're sneaking at us with the capital city. So both my 7th Fleet Defender and my Crafty Smuggler, when they're able, and I forgot to put a shield on this guy. When they're able, they're both going to either attack the base that my opponent is using or attack other units that my opponent has played within their zone. So you can't shoot from your spaceship down to blow up Luke Skywalker or whatever it is. I like that. It's kind of fun that there's the two different zones. Makes things feel a little bit more realistic. But I mean, we're playing Star Wars, so it's not quite realistic, is it? It also really appeals to me that the gameplay is pretty simple, but the strategy is complex. If you've played a TCG before, picking this game up is going to be no problem at all. Again, essentially it's just going back and forth, taking different actions. Let's say the turn is ended here. Again, we're going to draw 2 cards. We're going to pick one to throw down as a resource. You don't have to, but we do that. Now we have 4. And back on my turn here, let's pretend that I was the person who passed first in the last round. And so I'm going to go first. I can take an action now, and the actions are either I will be using one of my units to attack either an opponent's unit or their base, or I can spend my resources to play another card on the battlefield, whether that's a unit or play an event or an upgrade or different card that you might have in your hand, or you can take the action of a card that you already have in play as. So here, there's times when you can use Boba Fett, or I even have an epic action here on my base, which I can use. Epic actions are fun. You can only use them once a game, but they're extra powerful. And that's about it. You're just taking actions if I'm either going to activate a card I already have on the field, or I'm going to play a new one. And then the first person who decides they don't want to do that anymore will pass, and they take what's called the initiative. And then whoever has the initiative will be the player who plays first in the next turn phase. While it doesn't take long to learn how to play the game, and this is not meant to be a complete how to play video or anything like that, you can see where after you have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards out, and in your next turn you're going to have a few cards in your hand, there becomes quite a few different choices, and the strategy can get quite complex, especially after you start to see all your opponent's pieces on the board. Combat's pretty simple in Star Wars Unlimited. On each unit you'll see they have a power number and a HP number, their life total. And so when a unit attacks, let's say they attack a base, if they have a power of 2, they're going to do 2 damage to the base. We don't have any cool markers, but we'll say the base took 2 damage there. And then if the unit is fighting another unit, it does the same thing. Again, you have your power and your HP. Let's say he's going to attack your little Death Star Stormtrooper. When it attacks another unit, both units do damage to each other. So there's always the risk when you're attacking somebody that you will die as well. And so both units do their same damage. Now, of course, there's a little bit more complication strategy in the game. The basic principle is very simple, but there are little tokens here like shield, which the first time our crafty smuggler is dealt damage, you actually get to prevent that damage and get rid of the shield. So if he attacked him, instead of him taking any damage, he loses his shield, and our poor Death Star Stormtrooper goes away because, again, he's only got 1 HP. Now, the most fun part of the game, of course, comes here as I move into the 5th turn, and I'm finally able to take my epic action. Here it says if I control 5 or more resources, which I just played 1 more, I get to deploy my leader. I get to bring him out. Boba Fett gets to come out on the battlefield, and the fun thing about leaders is they're the one card that gets to come out ready. They are ready to go, they are ready for action, and so they can immediately start attacking or using abilities that they have. And again, if for some reason your poor leader just doesn't quite survive out there, don't worry, you get to bring him back and you can still use his cool ability throughout the rest of the game. So what are the 2 reasons that a lot of people are hesitant on trying Star Wars Unlimited? First, a lot of people have shared their concern about Fantasy Flight's track record when it comes to long-term games, developing them and sustaining them. We can use Destiny as an example. It was the previous Star Wars TCG that Fantasy Flight created, and it was plagued with production and communication issues, and the game was popular and it did well for a while, but it fell flat essentially just because of some things in the back end with Fantasy Flight. Now when it comes here to Star Wars Unlimited, it seems like Fantasy Flight is trying to tackle this issue head on. They're not pretending that there haven't been issues in the past. It's been nice to see them acknowledge in live streams that they need to rebuild some trust with some of their customer base. They know they have a bit of an uphill battle with trying to get people on board with a new collectible card game, a new TCG from the same company. And from everything that I can tell, it looks like they're putting in a ton of effort to make this a long-term game. They have more people working on the game than they have had on any of their previous projects or games before. They've already completed development for the first 6 sets. They're working on sets 7 through 9. And I mean, like most companies, Fantasy Flight probably wants their game to succeed, right? It seems like they really want this to go well. With everything that I've seen so far, with the pre-release and even just the product quality and different things they've put together, it seems like they've really learned a lot from some of the different games that they've made in the past. And Star Wars Unlimited seems to be off to a great start. Pre-releases around here were full of people. There were a ton of people showing up. And again, even just the kits, like, you know, this is not going to be the deck box you want to use forever. But to me, I felt like this was a very quality product. It made it very easy to play the game. It had this beautiful, like very simple, like here's how you build your deck. Let's try and make it as easy as possible for you to get in. But in addition to that, you got this bigger, quick start rules, which is, again, there's more rules than this, but I thought it was good. And you got cool promo cards in there. You got a bunch of tokens that you needed to use. It just seemed like a nice quality starter intro product. You add that to the whole suite of deck boxes and playmats and tokens and accessories they have for the game, and it really seems like they want this one to do well. Now, I know we're not all going to be convinced by intentions to make a long-term game, but you know what? Even if this game doesn't succeed, even if it's not a 10 to 15 year game, you can still have a lot of fun playing it now. If you like Star Wars, this is good. It's an enjoyable game to play. The game mechanics are good. It's fun. Again, you get to play every game that you do. You get to be the people that you enjoy from not just the movies, but the series, the whole Star Wars universe. And you really don't have to go all in with your money to enjoy the game. Again, I just had a lot of fun playing with a pre-release kit. And I haven't even tried all of the different combinations that I could use in here or the different leaders. You can get a lot of game enjoyment from just a small amount of product. Anyway, you probably shouldn't be going all in with your money on any game, but the point is you can have fun with just a few cards. And I won't feel bad, just buying a box to play with, open it up, enjoy it for a while, even if it's not a big, super long-term game. Now, the second reason a lot of people don't want to try or start with Star Wars Unlimited is they're not as excited about the art. Now, art is subjective. Different people prefer different styles. And yet somehow here in Star Wars Unlimited, it just doesn't feel consistent across the game. And for me, particularly as you see here with these Han Solo, different images, it's in the faces. The faces, they're not the same style as you go from character to character. And maybe style is not the right word, but they just don't line up as well as they could. And I just noticed that even flipping through the cards, some of them, again, maybe it's not always the same character, but the style here, this style is different. It's very different than, say, that style there on Leia. Or even here in these two cards, you've got two versions, of Leia, different, you know, perspectives, but they just don't feel the same. They don't feel like they're coming necessarily from the same game. And so things could be tightened up a little bit more with that. And again, some people are going to like certain versions more than they like other versions of style of the art. And you know, for me, some of the cards, they look great. Like I love this. This one's really cool. My opponent played a foil of this on me. I thought, wow, it looked really cool. You know, and others I'm not going to like as much. You know, I'm not as excited about that Walker card, you know, as this Interceptor when it comes to the art. You know, honestly, that's kind of how it is in every game that I play. Some cards I like more than others. And, you know, Star Wars Unlimited, it does have some really good looking cards. Like here's an example. When you get into those hyperspace cards, the alternate versions, or even like the showcase ones, some of them, they look really good. Really, really good. I really love them. And then there's, you know, other cards, you know, that just don't quite make it for me there. They're just, the art's kind of like, meh. Or sometimes like, I don't, you know, like there's different versions. Again, you could look at Han, different versions of his art that I like, and there's others that I don't. Or you could pretty much pick anything for most character in this game because there's that variation. It's not narrowed down as much as it could be. And so again, that's kind of the same thing that I do experience in other games, maybe not with such drastic versions of I love this one and I don't love this one. But something that's true for this game, which I found true for other games too, is the art feels better in person than it does when you're just looking at a random image on the internet. You know, for example, this Boba Fett. To me, seeing it in person, it's just, I mean, I liked it when I saw it online, but this in person, it looks really good. I love it. And there was a lot of cards that I looked at online that I thought, yeah, I'm not gonna like that. Or, you know, I originally had the idea of I'm probably not gonna like most of it. But then getting the cards in my hands, playing with it, looking through it, the amount of cards that I think, yeah, I really don't like the art, it's much lower, it's drastically lower than I thought prior to holding the cards. And honestly, you know, I wouldn't be surprised, again, I'm gonna flip through a couple things here. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Fantasy Flight does some changes with art in some of the upcoming, you know, sets, just because this is the kind of comment that's, I've heard a lot. Like, this feedback is not an uncommon feedback for people. And so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some, you know, again, kind of just more focusing on one or two of the specific kind of styles you see within the artwork here in Star Wars Unlimited. But like other games that I enjoy, you know, the gameplay, I like the gameplay enough. I'm excited about getting some more cards, trying to build some more decks, try some new strategies, that, you know, it's okay if not every single piece of art is my favorite piece of art. I'm not gonna let that stop me from enjoying a Star Wars game that I like. So I'm gonna be playing some more Star Wars Unlimited. Let me know if you are or why not. And later this week, I'm gonna open up a box of Star Wars Unlimited for myself here on the channel because I wanna have some more fun with deck building. If you are loving Star Wars Unlimited and you wanna open a box live here on the channel, head on over to my website, mastersetmadness.com, and you can order a box break there. I'll be opening them this week, having them shipped on release day for you so that you can get your cards quick and you can continue to enjoy Spark of the Rebellion. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace.